Okay, so I don't really even know where to start with this one. This is a really special episode. I met Christian through Drift Enthusiast Magazine, and we've shot some drift events, FD, stuff like that together. But what stuck out to me about Christian is how good of a person he is. He's definitely a creative to keep your eye on, and I don't say that lightly. But also, today's conversation is speaking about something personal that happened to him, and I think it's a really good reminder for all of us. Bad things happen to good people, unfortunately, and this is just, I guess, a perfect example of that. But I found it really interesting talking to Christian about how what's happened to him has changed his perception on creating. Honestly, I'll let this conversation speak for itself and we'll just get right into the episode. What's up, dude? What's up?
Shoot. Wait, can I cuss on here?
Oh, you can go to town. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't
I think
cuss as much,
you get the
but
pass, I think.
okay. Um, I mean, I'm just recovering. Just kind of trying to find that fire again, to be honest. Um, and just taking life really slow, since the crash, I've just been like at a very like stagnant position in my life, and I'm trying to like take it all in. So
Yeah, that
yeah,
totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. And I don't know if you want to get right into it. I was gonna butter you up a little bit, but
no,
for
it's
the
fine.
for the people who are listening, do you want to just like kind of recap or like go over it and talk about it as much as you'd like to about like what happened and yeah.
So I don't know if you've ever seen my van in person. Have you? Where did
No,
we
I
ever
don't think
go
so.
to a
No,
van? No, so I had one of those 1991 Volkswagen Vanagons. It was cool, cool little bus, diesel swapped.
just so sick.
4 speed, no, just a bunch of gauges all over the dash. It was kind of cool, but it was like struggling to get like 50 miles per hour on the freeway. Super slow. All the right noise, all the diesel noise, but just like I wasn't going anywhere. Anyways, yeah, I had recently gotten into a car crash in October 15th of last year. Essentially what it was two, I've narrowed it down to two things, and it was either my alignment was off or my electric power steering that I had installed about 3 years ago. Worked beautifully until that day, and hit a small bump in the road, and the steering wheel started spinning to the left by itself, and it launched me into oncoming traffic and ended up in a front end collision with a Ford Transit. I blacked out during the initial impact, but when I woke up, I was pinned against my driver's seat, and that was just kind of pretty much like where the panic started. Yeah, I don't know how much detail you want me to get into, but yeah, it
It's up to
was.
you, man. It's just so crazy because it's like I don't know. I it's a good reminder I think to just everyone like don't take any moment and every day for granted, you know what I mean? Because it's like it's such a
Yeah.
simple thing that could happen to anyone, and I think that was like the first thing other than are you okay? That was like my reaction to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I just think it's like a really good lesson for anyone. So it's up to you how much you want to talk about it, honestly.
Shoot, I mean, I'll go into it. It just takes me a second to like figure out my words when describing it. It's been a while since I've kind of dug into this, so bear with me.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
Uh, um but yeah, I mean like you said, it's one of those things where you just don't really expect your life to kind of take a turn. You know, at the time, I was at a very high point in my life at the time. And I was, kind of just putting 100% into my own self and just focusing myself, and went back to the gym. I was feeling great. I felt like my creativity was just like exponentially just getting there, like I was able to see and execute things the way I wanted to.
You were at it an insanely not. I mean, I love seeing you. It's awesome. I've seen some of your content recently, but man, you I know exactly what you're saying. Is
Yeah.
your stuff was every post was getting better, and that's like the only tick of the box for me. and
I
like
appreciate it.
it just looks, yeah, your stuff is just crazy in my opinion. So I know exactly what you're saying.
But yeah, like I felt like I had a really good flow going, and then I was moving homes that day, and it was maybe 20 minutes away, and then within the first 5 minutes of that drive, that's when it happened. And before I knew it, I was stuck against my driver's seat, and luckily it was down the street from a one of the better like trauma hospitals. So it only took them maybe 5 minutes to show up, which I was very grateful for. And I think about like if I was in that car any longer, I probably would have bled out. Um, just because I saw the report of how much blood I lost that day. A rundown of my injuries is they're called tibia plateau fractures. My right leg was completely shattered and it was an open compound fracture, and that was the leg I was bleeding out of. My left leg was a clean break, but I think that one was also an open fracture. And then during the impact, my femur hit, like punched my hip and pretty much like busted it open and dislocated my leg. So that was the extent of it. And I guess you can imagine like how much blood I probably would have lost by the time I made it to the hospital in just a matter of what, like 10, 15 minutes. After all of it, I was conscious through it all, but I'm not going to get into that detail. They had to use the jaws of life to pry me out of the car and transport me to the ER. And I had an emergency surgery to kind of stitch myself back together.
I've already said it obviously, but I'll say it again, but it's just amazing and I'm just super happy that you're here with us because wouldn't wish that on my enemies. Not
Yeah,
that I
me
have many,
neither.
you know what I mean? But yeah, it's
Yeah.
just I can't. Yeah, it's a crazy thing to happen to somebody let alone somebody you care about, let alone yourself.
Oh man, it's a scary thing. Like I remember thinking, well, like after the panic had set and I realized that I was stuck, because for a while I was like, I went through like maybe a small little phase of like trying to free myself from my seat, but I just couldn't. And yeah, it just after the shock had settled, luckily a lot of people got out, and started like was asking me if I was okay, and I was like, "Do I look okay?" But uh, I was fortunate enough to have an off-duty nurse, kind of just walk up to me and say and tell me that everything was going to be okay. She's like, "You really need to control your breathing," and really, it wasn't what kind of did it for me and helped me control my breathing was the fact that I was still able to move my toes because I thought I lost my legs, and I was just panicking. So after I was able to kind of move my toes, I was like, okay, well, there's still some hope. So I was able to take some deep breaths and kind of relax through it all and just really collect myself. Luckily, the adrenaline was like really helping me out. That moment alone, like, really I got some time to think, and I was just like, wow, like,
So that's what I was gonna say. Is like we could talk about this for days on end, but
yeah,
I think what I've seen and I really want to make apparent and talk about, I guess, the most
yeah,
is like the aftermath and like how you're going about obviously like the approach to life, but I mean the
yeah,
approach to creating as well, because I think that's such a like you've taken it to like the extreme, right? Like the
yeah,
ultimate like height of like okay going through something, let's say,
hmm
for
yeah,
lack of better
yeah,
words.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just like how you're going about that approach to like make that comeback type of thing, and how you're not necessarily like the comeback, but how you're approaching life now and how that's like reflecting in your art, I guess, is a better question.
apply. I'm still trying to find my way to apply it afterwards. It's something as traumatic as this, in my head, is a little easy to take for granted. I don't know if it's just been because I've just been like sitting still for a while, but now I feel like I'm kind of digging myself out, and um it's just more of the I always tell myself like it could be worse, and I definitely got a second life, and a lot of what I think is like, I guess for my work wise, I get okay. So for example, I've been working with Hot Visuals, and that's kind of the company I kind of stepped back from like my freelance job to,
I was gonna ask about that. Yeah,
yeah. So we like to go camping a lot because we're also shooting for a truck bed camper, OEV. They're based out of Canada. I forget where,
I
but
was gonna say that stuff's right up my alley. So yeah, it
oh
makes
yeah,
sense. I love
yeah.
it.
So we'll take like week-long camping trips, and when I go out there and shoot, it's I guess it kind of reflects back on like my original ideals was just trying to recreate a feeling, except now that I've experienced like this type of trauma, it's kind of like enhanced, almost to a point where it's like I have to remember to press record because like when I'm out there, I'm like, wow, like I just want to take this in, I don't really want to like focus on recording, but when I do, I try and portray that same feeling that I have through my lens, and the way I do that is I'll kind of just stand there and just take it in, and then I'll press record and then try and like recreate whatever I just felt.
That's something I've always felt in your content is like you're super good at capturing that feeling. And I think that's so hard in sports, let alone motorsport. Um, like just looking at like some of your posts over the last like year or two, let's say, it's like I don't know, just the choice, like the artistic choice of like moments that you choose to. I know how she goes. Like you obviously are capturing more than that, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
the moments that you choose to like put it together a post with, I just think are so like that's the exactly what you just said is exactly what you're achieving from my point of view at least is like it's such a I get such a feeling watching your content. So
That's good to hear. Honestly, it's reassuring because, like, I mean, you know how editing goes. It's you watch it tens of thousands of times over and over again, and then it kind of numbs that feeling. But I mean, I'm glad that
100%, yeah.
yeah, I'm kind of glad that I was able to portray it in that sense. Just yeah, and especially in motorsports, it's like it's hard because it's so fast paced, And for me, what I just described is like I've missed many, many, many moments that would have been like a really good clip, but at that point, it's like I don't really care because it was more of a selfish decision, Like I'm here, I'm doing things that I've dreamt of doing, and just to take it in and then still being able to kind of get that clip or like to capture that emotion afterwards is something I can't really explain how I get that done, if that
I,
makes
I
sense,
I definitely does make sense. That's why I ask everyone that question, I guess, because it's like there's no one answer, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
impossible to put into words, but I just find it so interesting like talking about it. So like one thing I really like about your shots though, like when you will be able to talk about is incorporating movement into your shots. Like I love the
Mm,
way that you use a gimbal,
mm.
especially for like a number of shots that a people wouldn't use a gimbal for. Especially, I'm speaking directly kind of for like motorsport background.
Yeah. Thank you. So the original inspiration kind of came from, I don't know if you've seen this clip, and I forget the creator, um, but he used he strapped a telephoto lens to a gimbal and used it at a concert. And you can just see like the compression of the crowd and the whoever was on stage, and it just looked like a really well layered photo
Okay, I
that had
see. I
come
mean,
to
telephoto
life.
lenses on a gimbal is like the cheat code, I think.
It's a really big cheat code, and it's like little effort.
It just looks so good. But yeah, that totally makes sense. It's so cinematic.
Yeah, and so I think my turning point for that was um it was last year's final bout at Special Stage Northwest. that was the first time I had experimented with that combo. These clips kind of just like rewired my brain to kind of see things in a certain way. Okay, so before that, I actually hadn't picked up my gimbal in years. I was very intimidated of it. And so the second I used that combination, it kind of made me fall in love with gimbal usage again. I just started looking at certain scenarios, like it made me think a little bit more about composition because I guess a compressed image can look good since like I guess the subject is isolated, but it's for me it's like what's behind it. I like to look at more than just like the isolated subject. What can I use to purposely as foreground, or is it a really nice background type thing? And I think that alone, after using that combo, it just kind of rewired my brain.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Actually, hearing you speak about that, it's like now that you say that, a lot of your content is almost like a moving photo, if that makes sense. Without like it's like the way I would approach like taking a photo, but you've chosen to do it in a video, and I don't know, it's like a different
Yeah.
approach. I find like a lot of videographers are, I as soon as they turn to the camera to video, it's like a different shot, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. The
Yeah.
framing, composition wise, everything.
I think I wanted to like for the longest time, all the influencer stuff and like I think nowadays it's just so easy to come across like some crazy editors who add all of these flashy transitions and like zooms and just like overlays and all of this, and for me it's like that's too much to think of. So kind of my thinking process is like if I see a cool picture, it's like what does it look like when it moves? How can I make it look cool when it moves? Or
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. No, it's like the exact. It's. I think we're both trying to say the same thing.
yeah, just we don't know how to get it out. But
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's like really common for these types of conversations.
yeah.
But I guess okay. So one other thing I really like about your work is I'm just gonna go off about your work apparently, but is like your
Thanks.
coloring choice is like I just find the reason I like your work a lot is because it's like a lot of yeah, I guess like ways I aspire to be and like content I would love to put my name on type of thing. So it's like
Oh,
the
thanks.
coloring is off the top. Like
Yeah.
I see the coloring and I'm just like, all right, what's going on here? You know what I mean? So tell me
Yeah.
about like your approach to coloring and like,
Dude, I am the laziest color grader that I think exists. All I do is I mean, I shoot on S-Log3. I just use two types of conversion LUTs, which is pretty much the S-Log3 to Rec 709, and then use a base LUT that I bought from, what was it, Short Stash? I use his LUTs a lot. And then it's also I have like 200 different types of LUTs I just kind of like scoured the internet for and just downloaded them and just kind of threw it on there. And if there's a color that is just too much, then I'll probably go into the hues and kind of just tone it down, or the saturations and tone it down with curves and stuff like that. And then that's pretty much it. It kind of just speaks for itself after I press a few buttons.
I think it also comes down to the way you're shooting it out of camera as well. But yeah, it's,
Yeah.
I've been guilty of it myself looking back, like over the years of progression type of thing is like,
Yeah.
I had a less is more approach at the start and then I
Yeah.
kind of put in too much and now I'm definitely getting back to the less is more type of thing. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's always the best way to like achieve cinema grade type looks, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I just love the grading of your work for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. That's kind of the what I was trying to say earlier was just like someone told me, and I'm sure a lot of people know, is keep it simple, stupid. It's like don't overthink it. I'm an overthinker, and if I start color grading it, I'm gonna fry the shit out of this footage. And if not, then like it just apparently it looks good. And that goes with all like a lot of my shots. If I can get everything done, like 90% of the edit done in camera, to where I can just upload it, throw some stuff on in like 30 seconds, and then just push it out, then I feel like I've accomplished something. And I think that alone has kind of helped me grow in a sense of just not overthinking it. You know, I think getting into or being a creative is a lot simpler than what people make it out to be, especially with like the talent that's out there right now, you know?
Over the last however many years, it gets to a point where you learn so many things, and then you are trying to factor in all of those things,
Yeah.
and whether that be 10-bit footage or the way you're exporting the project or the way you're
Yeah.
uploading the project, or okay, Instagram changed the algorithm and now they only want under 70 megabyte files, and they prefer 30 FPS files.
Oh gosh, yeah.
There's so many factors, and I think like that's a lot of the time what A keeps people from creating and posting, but B is yeah, comes into play when it's just making it too complicated. And
Yeah.
yeah, it just comes back to the keeping it simple.
Yeah. And you're really susceptible to like burnout too. I mean, everyone burns out multiple times, but the quickest way to do it is to just like sometimes it'll help for me, is to just keep it simple and like the less work, the better.
It's just like not forcing it, right?
Yeah, it's
I don't
not
know if this is
forcing
just
it.
me, is like when sometimes when I'm editing, sometimes it just happens, right? Like you sit down to edit something, and like all of a sudden it's like 5 hours later or something, and like the video just kind of like comes out of you, if you know what I mean. And then other
Yeah, yeah,
times you have to like really, really try, and like you're forcing it. And I guess like
yeah,
what I've learned over the years again is like in those situations to just walk away, like go take the dog for a walk or something like that. And coming back to it always helps, and never like forcing creativity.
yeah.
But
Oh, dude, actually, yeah. Like going off of that, it's I think what helped me a lot last year too, because last year was a really big year as far as a creative for me. That was kind of when quit the 9 to 5 and just decided to just go in massive debt and just go and do it, you know?
it was awesome, man. You and I were coming up kind of at the same time, I felt. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
it was
Every time I
awesome. Yeah.
saw you, it was like it was just good vibes and it was nice, you
Yeah,
know.
for sure, for sure.
And we're always both locked in. Like we I don't even think this is the most we've talked since
It's
meeting each other.
it's hilarious, man. But that's the lock in, though. That's how she goes.
And I was like, oh, he's off and I'm gonna do my own thing, sure, whatever. But after those events, like it was just driving up to Washington and LA. I'm based out of Sacramento, so I guess these are long drives. From me to LA is about what 6 7 hours, and then up to Affinity Circuit is maybe 5 or 6 hours without stops. So with that being said, I would go and shoot these events, go home, rest for like a day or two. Then the next weekend would be at the next event, and I would have to just pack up and go. And like, there's realistically no time for editing in between. Yet I somehow knocked it out because as I'm driving, or after the event would end, I would just kind of go to an after party, do whatever, push out a consumable, like one or two clips of just like whatever. And then my actual edits kind of come from me just being on the road. I'll be driving and I'll probably just zone out, but I'll like hyper fixate on a song and the edit kind of just starts playing in my head. And
Yeah,
then
you're starting to
immediately,
envision it. Yeah.
yeah, I'm starting to envision it, and that's when I jump on it. Like I will literally find the next rest stop, pull over, and just if I have to spend the night at that rest stop that day just to get this edit done, I'll pull over and edit for like 6 hours, and that's how like most of those edits kind of came alive.
It definitely comes out in the watching it. It's like that feeling, and the like what we've everything we've talked about is like the following the passion thing, at least from like my
Yeah,
experience of putting together videos. That totally
yeah,
makes sense. And I can relate to the like, or I can definitely imagine the like pulling over and just be like, oh shit, apparently it's 6 hours I've been here. Yeah. So
yeah.
that's
Even during like a movie, it's a lot of my inspiration is like if I were to watch a movie, I'm not a big movie buff, but when I do see a cool clip, or like a cool angle or a cool like composition, my brain immediately goes this, but what if there's cars in it, or
Yeah,
what if
that makes
there's
sense.
this?
Yeah.
And so I'll pause the movie and I'll just go edit again. I'll finish the movie later. Like this idea is fresh and I try to act on it really fast. So
Yeah, it's funny how similar we are, man. We are very similar. But I think that again makes it even more meaningful when I say how happy I am to hear that you're doing well and you're up on the comeback, if you know what I mean. Because yeah,
I
that
appreciate it,
was
man.
really not a good day to for from everyone who from the outside, you know what I mean, to get that
Yeah.
news, and I can only imagine going through it. So
Oh, I mean, it's behind me now, and I try and cling on to the emotions that I was going through at the time, and I'm still trying to figure out how to apply it to my creativity and everything. If I'm being honest, I feel like that crash kind of blew out a little bit of my fire. But I mean, that's just like any other creative that is kind of struggling out there. It's like it's not really a sign to give up, I'm still trying. For I'm just waiting for that spark. I've gotten it a few times. Yeah, I've gotten
we've
it a
all
few
been through those
times.
moments where it's like things go ups and downs, and like we said, like you're maybe taking that to the dire extent, but yeah, I think like from my experience at least is like just to keep creating even through those moments, and like it will just kind of it'll just happen, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's where the
Like
real
it
growth
happened the
is, I
first
think.
time, right? So
Yeah. I think that's where the real growth is creating even when you don't want to. Just because it's like, yes, you need inspiration, but like creating when you don't want to, you're just gonna kind of like it's like a muscle that you don't move for a while. If you don't use your muscles, you're gonna lose that muscle. You gotta flex it, and that's something that I'm physically learning right now with walking. If I don't walk, I'm gonna not be able to walk. So, that I think there's a lesson here. There's a silver lining to what I'm going through, and it's teaching me a lot of patience. And I just know that whenever I gain that confidence back, that the fire is probably going to be out of control.
I'm absolutely excited to hear and see how things are going, and I will continually check in. And
Oh, dude, same.
for everyone listening, what's some of your social media stuff? Because yeah, people are gonna want to check this out.
So you can find me at buena.exe. That's buena.exe on Instagram. I'm not so much on YouTube, but I do shoot, or I am a part of a company called The Hot Visuals, and you can find them at The Hot Visuals. And yeah, that's pretty much where you can kind of see a lot of my work.
But yeah, man, I'm always good talking to you, and yeah, I'm a huge fan of your work and a huge fan of you and the way that you approach everything. And I'm really glad that or happy that you could share your story here because I think and I know that whether it be one person or however many people listening are gonna be affected by it. So yeah, it takes a lot to like to talk about it for starters, and nothing but good thoughts type of thing sending your way. So
I appreciate it, man. And yeah, like I guess there is one thing I've always wanted to kind of put out, if you don't mind me like using your
please do,
platform.
please do.
But lately I've been coming across, or I've been kind of just doing my own thing and going to like these mini car events, kind of just doing my low key thing. But I'm starting to come across a lot of like new creators. And have they would add me and ask me like, how do I get into this? Especially when I was really heavy last year into just event after event. There's a lot of people that would just ask me like, how do I get into FD? How do I get into drifting? How do I get into just shooting? And I'm just like, just do it. Like when I first started, I had a very small following, and I'm sure you've seen these on applications where they'll ask you for your following and like your reach, and that really intimidated me, and I've closed a lot of applications for that. But I one day I shot my shot and I got accepted anyways. And that's really like kind of what got me on my feet, you know, is to just keep shooting. Even if you get denied, show up as a spectator and shoot, you know, like just don't stop shooting, and really let people know that you're there and that you're not there to create content. You're there to like you're serious. You're serious about your career, you know. So
100%, dude. And I think that's like one of the main things. I love that because like I think that's like one of the main things I want people to get away from any of my like tutorials or teaching sides of stuff or like podcast is like go for it because it's I mean speaking from experience from both of us is like let's say you don't get accepted, some of the best shots I've ever taken have been from the spectators areas.
oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So it don't see anything as like a limit.
Yeah.
Just go for it. Don't compare yourself to others in like a negative way.
Yeah.
And I think like staying positive and like having that like almost like delusion and like entrepreneurial spirit of like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't
Yeah.
care is
Yeah.
like the only way to achieve it. But it's a really common conversation, and yeah, I love
Yeah.
that for sure, man.
Yeah. And if they say no, then make them regret saying no.
100%.
So.